When the sleek, silver vessel of the Vrashik delegation landed on Sol 3, a planet notorious across the galaxy as a Class 13 Deathworld, there was an air of palpable tension among the crew. These worlds were classified as such for their extreme environments, dangerous wildlife, and harsh living conditions, a stark contrast to the regulated and serene habitats of the Vrashik home worlds. Commander Yilsa, a veteran of interstellar diplomacy with her scales shimmering under the sun of this new, wild world, was the first to disembark. She stood a moment, taking in the chaotic beauty of the dense forests that stretched aggressively towards the horizon, their tips piercing the sky. The gravity was heavier than what her species was used to, pulling at her limbs with an unyielding force. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Yilsa," greeted a voice, breaking her analysis of the surroundings. Turning, Yilsa faced a human, one of the natives of this feared planet. He was tall, his skin sun-kissed and worn, with eyes that sparkled with mischief and curiosity. He wore a simple outfit of fabric that seemed too thin to offer any protection against the elements, a stark contrast to her armored environmental suit. "I'm Jack Harrison," the human continued, extending a hand in a gesture of peace, a custom her briefings had covered extensively. "I'm here to ensure your stay is, well, survivable." Yilsa hesitated for a fraction of a second before extending her own hand, covered in its protective sheath, to meet his. His grip was firm and warm, an odd comfort that seemed at odds with the perilous reputation of his species and planet. "Your casual attire is surprising, given the dangers your world is known for," Yilsa commented, eyes narrowing not out of suspicion but genuine intrigue. Jack laughed, a sound that was light and unburdened. "Oh, this? We find it's better to blend in than try to fight it. You'd be surprised at how adaptable we can be. Besides, most of those dangers are just part of everyday life here." "Everyday life?" Yilsa echoed, her voice tinged with disbelief. How could a species thrive under such relentless pressure, treating deadly threats as mere nuisances? "Yes, Commander. You see, when you grow up on a death world, you either learn to laugh in the face of danger or you don't grow up at all. It's as simple as that. But let's get you to the outpost, we can talk more safely there." As they walked towards a small, sturdy-looking building nestled between two giant redwoods, Yilsa's curiosity grew. The landscape was alive, a stark contrast to the controlled environments of Vrashik cities. Birds with bright plumage and loud calls flew overhead, and the ground teemed with insects of every imaginable shape and size. Jack noticed her interest and grinned. "Pretty lively, isn't it? Keeps you on your toes. That bird there," he pointed at a large, blue-feathered creature perched nearby, "is called a stellar jay. Beautiful, but they'll steal your lunch if you're not careful." Yilsa was taken aback by his nonchalant attitude towards it all. Here, on a planet where every moment seemed to hold a dozen hidden dangers, this human spoke of theft by wildlife as though discussing the weather. The outpost itself was a hub of activity. Humans of various shapes and sizes moved about, performing tasks with a casual ease that spoke of deep familiarity and an almost reckless confidence. They nodded or waved at Jack as he passed, each greeting met with a name and a smile. Inside, the building was surprisingly cozy. Technology and nature intertwined seamlessly, with screens displaying data beside windows that opened to the wild. Yilsa felt a strange sense of peace, a stark contrast to the fear and respect that her kind held for Class 13 planets. As Jack offered her a seat and a drink, something clear and fizzing, Yilsa realized that this assignment might change her understanding of not only humans but of what it meant to live in the universe. Maybe, just maybe, these Deathworlders had figured out something vital that the rest of the galaxy hadn't. As they settled in, Jack began to share tales of Earth, each story more incredible than the last. Yilsa listened, her mind racing, as she began to understand the true nature of humanity's resilience and their nonchalant embrace of life on a death world. In the outpost's central meeting hall, Yilsa and Jack were joined by Dr. Lena Hargrove, a human scientist specializing in xenobiology. The room was cluttered with a variety of Earth artifacts and alien technology, illustrating the outpost's role as a bridge between worlds. Dr. Hargrove's presence was intended to deepen the discussion of Earth's ecosystem and its inhabitants' unusual adaptations. "Commander Yilsa, It's a pleasure to meet someone from the Vrashik Confederacy firsthand, Dr. Hargrove began, her voice carrying an enthusiasm that seemed characteristic of her people. Our work here often references your advances in environmental technology. Yilsa nodded, her senses alert to every new piece of information. I am eager to learn how your species has managed to thrive in such a hostile environment without the use of such technologies. Dr. Hargrove smiled, tapping on a tablet to bring up a holographic display of DNA strands, biochemical pathways, and environmental data. Let's start with our genetics. Humans have what we call an adaptive resilience. Our bodies can quickly adjust to various stressors, a trait that has been crucial for our survival. Jack interjected, his tone casual yet informative. Like when we talk about our microbiome adapting to local pathogens or our skin tanning under your sun, it's all about dynamic equilibrium with our environment. Yilsa observed the displayed data with keen interest. Fascinating. And what about your societal adaptations? That's where it gets even more interesting, Dr. Hargrove continued. Our social structures are very flexible. Families, communities, entire cities adapt to the demands of the environment. In places where cyclones or earthquakes are common, you'll find tightly knit communities that rebuild and support each other without needing central command. The conversation shifted as they walked through the facility, observing humans engaged in various tasks, some interacting with advanced technology, others preparing for expeditions outside. Yilsa was struck by the seamless integration of nature and technology, a balance she had not seen in other civilizations. Jack led them to a viewing platform overlooking a vast, rugged landscape. Here, you see the real Earth, he said, gesturing towards the sprawling wilds. It's not just about surviving, it's about understanding and respecting the forces of nature. Yilsa watched a group of children playing near a water body, their laughter echoing through the air. It was hard to imagine these small, seemingly vulnerable beings were the offspring of a species so adept at surviving one of the galaxy's most inhospitable planets. The day concluded with a shared meal in the communal dining area, where Yilsa experienced the human custom of sharing food, a gesture of trust and community. The dishes were an array of colors and flavors, each bite telling a story of Earth's biodiversity. As night fell, Yilsa stood by a large window, gazing at the starlit sky framed by towering trees. Earth, with all its perils and beauties, was beginning to weave its spell on her. She realized that the key to humanity's survival was not just biological or technological but profoundly woven into their very psyche, resilience not just to survive, but to thrive and embrace life in all its forms. The day's experiences had opened a new perspective for Yilsa, one that challenged the sterile, controlled existence of her own people. Here on Earth, life was wild, unpredictable, and vibrant. It was a lesson in the art of living, taught by a planet that knew no master. In the early hours of the morning, Yilsa accompanied Jack and a team of human scientists on an expedition into one of Earth's densest forests. The air was humid and filled with the calls of unseen creatures, creating a symphony of natural sounds that Yilsa had only ever experienced through simulations. Jack, equipped with nothing more than a lightweight fabric suit and a machete, led the way with ease. The key to moving through an earth forest is to know how to read the environment, Jack explained as he paused to examine a series of marks on a nearby tree. These marks, for example, are from a terrestrial predator. It tells us about the ecosystem's current state, what's active, what's nearby. Yilsa was equipped with several sensory augmentation devices, which provided her with data about the surrounding flora and fauna. Her equipment beeped softly as it detected the biochemical signals of nearby life forms, but it was Jack's intuitive understanding of the forest that guided them. They reached a clearing where Dr. Hargrove set up some equipment to monitor local wildlife interactions. Our goal here is to observe how different species communicate and compete or cooperate within their niches, Dr. Hargrove explained. It's a real-time study of ecological balance. As they worked, a sudden rustling in the underbrush caught their attention. A large, four-legged creature with fur matted in mud and leaves emerged, its eyes cautious yet curious. The team froze, but Jack stepped forward slightly, his posture relaxed. "This is a boar," Jack said softly, "not the friendliest creature, But if you give it space, it won't bother us. Yilsa marveled at the calm demeanor Jack exhibited, his respect for the creature's space a stark contrast to the defensive tactics employed on her home planet. The boar sniffed the air and, seemingly satisfied with its assessment, trundled off into the underbrush. The team spent the day cataloging species, taking samples, and recording interactions. Yilsa found herself increasingly fascinated by the robustness of Earth's ecosystems. Each species, from the smallest insect to the top predators, played a vital role in maintaining the balance of their environment. As the sun began to set, they packed up their equipment and prepared for the trek back. The return journey was quiet, each member of the team lost in their thoughts, processing the day's observations. The forest seemed to come alive even more as night approached, with new sounds and movements in the darkening underbrush. Back at the outpost, Yilsa took a moment to stand outside, watching the night envelop the world around her. The darkness on Earth was different. It was alive, teeming with energy and unseen life. It was a world that did not sleep, that thrived under the cover of night. In her quarters, Yilsa reviewed the day's data, her mind racing with ideas and questions about survival and adaptation. Earth was teaching her a lesson in resilience, in the beauty of untamed life and the intricate dance of ecosystems that required no control, only understanding and respect. As she prepared for rest, the sounds of the Earth night playing softly through her window, Yilsa felt a profound shift in her understanding of life itself. Here, on this vibrant, dangerous planet, life was not just surviving, it was thriving by embracing the chaos and making it a part of its rhythm. The following morning brought a new dimension to Yilsa's Earth expedition, the aquatic ecosystems. Jack and Dr. Hargrove led the team to a nearby coast where the ocean stretched vast and seemingly infinite. The roar of the waves crashing against the rocky shore provided a powerful soundtrack to their studies. We often forget that Earth is mostly water, Dr. Hargrove explained as they suited up in diving gear. The oceans are as complex and vital as any land-based ecosystem. Submerged in the cold, salty water, Yilsa felt the ocean currents tug at her with more force than she had anticipated. Her suit adjusted to the pressure and temperature, but the sheer power of the natural environment was overwhelming. Schools of brightly colored fish darted past, and plant life swayed rhythmically with the currents. Jack pointed towards a dark shape looming in the distance. As they approached, it resolved into a massive kelp forest, towering columns of algae stretching from the ocean floor up towards the sunlight. Kelp forests are among the most productive and dynamic ecosystems on Earth, Jack communicated through their dive intercoms. They provide shelter and food for countless species. Navigating through the kelp, Yilsa noticed how different species use the forest in various ways. Small fish use the dense fronds as nurseries and hiding spots from predators, while larger predators patrolled the edges, utilizing the cover for ambush hunting. Dr. Hargrove collected samples of the water and kelp, recording data on a waterproof tablet. Notice the symbiosis here. She indicated a cluster of small crabs living on a single kelp frond. These crabs protect the kelp from smaller parasites and, in return, get a safe home. Emerging from the water hours later, Yilsa felt a chill despite her heated suit. The immensity of the ocean and its myriad inhabitants had given her a new perspective on Earth's biodiversity and the intricate balances that sustained life. The rest of the day was spent in labs at the outpost, analyzing the samples. Yilsa was particularly intrigued by the microorganisms they had collected, tiny beings with the power to influence their environment profoundly. Our studies show that these microorganisms can significantly affect atmospheric conditions, Dr. Hargrove noted as they observed the behavior of the microbes under a microscope. They're a crucial part of the carbon cycle, helping to regulate Earth's climate. As dusk fell and the sky painted itself in hues of orange and pink, the team discussed their findings over a communal dinner. The conversation flowed from scientific discussions to personal anecdotes of life on Earth, giving Yilsa insights into the human condition. Later, sitting by a large window in the communal lounge, Yilsa watched the stars begin to appear in the night sky. The constellations were unfamiliar, yet they held a beauty that was becoming increasingly familiar. Earth, with all its wildness and complexity, was slowly revealing its secrets, not just through data and analysis but through the experiences and stories shared by its inhabitants. This living planet, with its unyielding oceans and vibrant lands, was teaching her more than just survival. It was teaching her the beauty of interdependence and the strength found in diversity. As dawn broke over the horizon, Yilsa and the team prepared for a venture into one of Earth's oldest rainforests, a vast and ancient expanse where the trees rose like titans into the sky and the air hummed with the pulse of life. The goal was to study the ecosystem's resilience and the potential lessons it could offer for interstellar ecological management. The rainforest was a labyrinth of green, dappled with sunlight that filtered through the thick canopy overhead. Every step on the forest floor felt like a descent into a living, breathing entity. The diversity was staggering. Insects of every conceivable shape and color buzzed around, and birds with vivid plumage called from the treetops. Jack guided the team through the dense undergrowth, his eyes scanning the environment with an expertise honed by years of navigating similar terrains. "This place," he said, pausing to let a spider the size of a dinner plate pass, "is all about connections. Every species here depends on another, directly or indirectly. It's all tightly woven together." Dr. Hargrove nodded, pulling a device from her bag that measured various environmental parameters. "Look at this." She gestured to the readings. The symbiotic relationships extend to the microbial level, fungi and bacteria that help plants absorb nutrients more effectively. It's an intricate web of life. Yilsa took samples of the soil, observing the teeming life under the microscope. The complexity was unlike anything on her planet, where bioengineering had streamlined many such natural processes. Here, nature had crafted its own systems over millennia without any need for artificial intervention. They came upon a clearing where a large tree had fallen, opening a gap in the canopy. Sunlight flooded in, illuminating the forest floor and sparking a flurry of activity as new plants began to compete for the light. Jack explained, "This is how the forest regenerates. A fallen tree gives life to 100 others. Death and life, perpetually intertwined." The concept struck Yilsa deeply, the natural cycle of life and death leading to continuous renewal. It was a stark contrast to the Vrashik approach of controlling environmental variables to prevent decay and maintain stasis. As the day wore on, the team documented species interactions, recorded environmental data, and collected samples of plants that had medicinal properties known only to a few local tribes. Jack discussed the potential of these natural remedies, highlighting how Earth's biodiversity was not only a testament to nature's resilience but also a treasure trove of untapped resources. Returning to the outpost, Yilsa was silent, lost in thought about the lessons Earth was offering. The data from the rainforest would provide valuable insights into sustainable living and the importance of preserving natural cycles, insights that could benefit not only her people but many civilizations across the galaxy. That evening, as the outpost's crew gathered around a fire, sharing stories and songs under the starlit sky, Yilsa felt a profound connection to the planet and its people. Earth, with its raw and unbridled spirit, was more than a place of study. It was a teacher of deep ecological truths, showcasing the strength inherent in diversity and adaptability. The next phase of Yilsa's Earth engagement took her to the arid expanse of a desert, vastly different from the lush rainforests and vibrant oceans she had studied. The barren landscape stretched under a merciless sun, the sands shimmering with heat that seemed almost tangible. Here, life had to fight for every drop of water, every scrap of shade. As they trekked across the dunes, Jack explained the adaptations of desert species. "These creatures are masters of conservation," he said, pointing to a small lizard that darted from under a rock, its body temperature regulated to exploit the sparse shade. They minimize water loss and maximize efficiency in every aspect of their biology. Dr. Hargrove set up an experiment to measure the rate of evaporation under the intense sun, comparing it to the moisture retention strategies of local plant life. These plants have evolved waxy coatings and deep root systems to access water that's not available on the surface. It's a perfect example of adaptation to extreme conditions. Yilsa collected samples of the sand and examined it through her portable analyzer. The mineral composition told a story of geological processes at work for millions of years, shaping the desert into a seemingly inhospitable, yet ecologically rich environment. The team encountered a tribe of nomads late in the afternoon, their tents pitched temporarily in the shade of a large rock formation. The tribe welcomed them, sharing insights into their lifestyle, which had been honed over generations to coexist with the harsh desert environment. They spoke of tracking the seasonal rains and migrating in patterns that followed the bloom of desert flowers. The desert teaches you to value resources, the tribe's elder told Yilsa as they sat around a fire, sipping tea made from a resilient local herb. It teaches you the true meaning of conservation and the balance between taking and giving back to the land. As night fell and the temperature dropped sharply, Yilsa felt the desert's extremes influence her thoughts. She considered how the nomads, much like the desert flora and fauna, had developed a symbiotic relationship with their environment, each element dependent on the other for survival. Later, under the clear, star-filled sky, Yilsa and the team discussed the potential applications of desert survival strategies in space travel and planetary colonization. The ability to thrive in minimal conditions could provide critical lessons for life support systems and habitat designs on barren worlds. Throughout the night, as she lay in her tent listening to the howl of the wind over the sand, Yilsa reflected on the resilience of the desert. Its inhabitants, both human and non-human, had not only adapted but thrived by embracing the limitations of their environment, turning adversities into advantages. The desert, with its stark beauty and rigorous demands, added another layer to Yilsa's understanding of Earth's diverse ecosystems. Each environment, no matter how harsh it appeared, harbored life that could teach invaluable lessons about survival, resilience, and the intricate dance of ecological balance. On the final day of her expedition, Yilsa stood atop a high ridge overlooking a panoramic view of Earth's diverse landscapes stretching out below. From the lush forests to the vast deserts, each ecosystem had imparted its own lessons of resilience and adaptation. Today, she was to visit a volcanic region, an area teeming with geological activity and yet another testament to Earth's dynamic nature. As they approached the base of an active volcano, the ground beneath their feet warmed, a reminder of the powerful forces at work just below the surface. The air was tinged with sulfur, and steam vents hissed, releasing clouds of vapor into the cool morning air. Jack led the way to an observation point, where Yilsa could see the molten lava flowing in brilliant, fiery streams. Volcanic areas are harsh, but even here, life finds a way, he said, pointing out small plants and insects that had adapted to the heat and the mineral-rich soils. Dr. Hargrove explained the processes at play. Volcanoes are not just destructive, they are also creators, she said. The soils here are incredibly fertile, and the volcanic activity brings up minerals that are essential for many forms of life. Yilsa collected samples of the ash and gases for analysis, intrigued by the microorganisms she detected living in such extreme conditions. These extremophiles could withstand temperatures and chemical environments that would be lethal to most other forms of life. The resilience of life here is a powerful example of what we call extremophily in biology, Dr. Hargrove noted. Studying these organisms can help us understand not just survival on Earth but also on other planets. Throughout the day, Yilsa recorded the unique adaptations and interactions within this fiery landscape. The team discussed how the strategies of thermal regulation and chemical tolerance observed here could inform the development of technologies and life support systems for space exploration. As the sun set over the volcanic peaks, casting long shadows and bathing the landscape in a golden glow, Yilsa reflected on her journey across Earth. Each environment had revealed the planet's indomitable spirit and the incredible adaptability of its inhabitants. Back at the outpost, the team gathered for a farewell dinner. Yilsa shared her gratitude for the experiences and knowledge she had gained. Earth is not just a planet, it is a teacher, she said. The lessons of resilience, adaptation, and ecological balance I have learned here will inform our efforts to preserve the natural harmony of our own world and others. That night, Yilsa looked up at the stars, feeling a deep connection to the universe. Earth had shown her the beauty of thriving amidst adversity, the importance of respecting and learning from nature, and the potential for all species to find balance within their environments. As she prepared to depart the next morning, Yilsa knew she was taking back more than just data and samples. She was carrying with her a new perspective on life and survival, inspired by the resilience of Earth and its people, ready to share these lessons across the stars.